Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vic and for today's video, I'm gonna read some cat books. So if you watched my recent book haul, you would have seen that I hauled these two books. These are both Japanese best-selling novels that have been translated into English and happen to be about cats and look and sound very similar. So I have a number of questions. One, is this a thing? Is cat fiction like its own genre in Japan? These covers even look very similar. It's a very strange situation that I found myself in with these two books, but we have The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arikawa, which is translated by Philip Gabriel, and this is about, oh god, how do I describe these books? 7 cats weave their way through their owners' lives, climbing, comforting, nestling, and sometimes just tripping everyone up. Bursting with empathy and love, The Goodbye Cat is a joyous celebration of the wondrousness of cats and why we cannot resist sharing our lives with them. We follow a kitten rescued from a recycling bin who teaches an anxious father how to care for his own baby, a colony of wild cats that shows a young boy not to stand in nature's way, a family is perplexed by their cat's devotion to their uncaring father, a woman curses her cat for constantly visiting her at night, an elderly cat hatches a plan to pass into the next world as a spirit so that he and his owner may be together forever. So we're just following a bunch of cats, and they're humans, I guess. This sounds like it's gonna make me cry, and I don't know if I'm prepared for that. It's 244 pages long, so I really should be able to fly through this. It is translated fiction. I don't read an awful lot of translated fiction. I would like to read more, so I am excited to read this one, and also this one, because it sounds the same. So this one is called She and Her Cat, and it is by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa, and it's translated by Jenny Tapley Takamori. I would also like to say I'm sorry about my pronunciation. I don't speak Japanese, so I'm probably saying everything wrong, but I'm trying. This one is on the outskirts of Tokyo in a neighborhood crossed by a commuter railway. Local cats weave their way through lives and homes as their owners navigate difficult times. Which sounds pretty similar, but then it goes into a bit more detail about a few people. Again, we follow a cat named Chobi, sends silent messages of courage to a young woman willing her to end a faltering relationship. A gifted artist fatally misunderstands her boss's enthusiasms for her paintings. A manga fan shuts herself away after the death of her friend, while her cat Cookie hatches a plan to lure her outside. A woman who has dedicated her life to a distant husband learns a lesson in independence from her cat. Populated by both the friendly and the feral, it reveals with heart-stopping wisdom and warmth how, even in our darkest moments, community and connection may lead us to a happier place. These books are telling you cats are great, and I could have told you that, because cats are great. I do have a cat. I was planning on having him in here while I filmed this intro, but I don't know where he is right now. I think he's outside. So, I couldn't exactly wrangle him in here for the sake of this intro, but I will try to get clips of him for the sake of this video, because he's just adorable, and I think we all need that in our lives, right? But yeah, so this is also very short, actually. How long is this one? 154 pages. Apparently this is based on an anime. She and Her Cat is inspired by Shinkai's praised anime and written by Nagakawa and will be published around the world. It sure will be, because I've got it now. I am interested in reading these. Someone let me know if cat fiction is as much of a thing as it seems like, or if this was just strange coincidence. Yes, I will be reading Japanese cat books for this video, and hopefully loving them. They both sound really cute. They actually sound like they could be very emotional. Anything to do with animals, if it gets emotional, it always hits harder. I will be back when I've read one of these, and I'll let you know what I thought of it. So I finished The Goodbye Cat. I loved this. So the first thing I want to get out of the way that I did not realize before, this is a collection of short stories. It's literally right here, 7 cat stories, which is probably why the synopsis felt a little bit disjointed talking about all these various cat situations, because each one of those was a different story. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I loved the way the author kind of got in the mindset of a cat. It felt like, yeah, that's what a cat thinks about. Like, it actually was so good. It was so emotional. I cried like 3 times reading this book. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I did write down all my star ratings for each individual short story on a post-it note. So we have The Goodbye Cat, which is the one the title of this book comes from. That is by far my favorite one in this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I was bawling my eyes out. It was just so touching. This whole book, that's the word I would use to describe it. Touching. This story is about a cat named Kota who is trying to figure out how to become this kind of spirit cat to always stay with his owner. And it's so sad. The second story, Bringing Up Baby, I gave 4 stars. This is the one that is about a new father who adopts this stray kitten he finds. Taking care of this very young kitten is kind of teaching him how to take care of his newborn child, and it's very heartwarming, very sweet. The third story, Good Father, Bad Father, I gave 3 stars. This is about a man who is seemingly rather uncaring to his family, but their cat really loves him more than everyone else. It was alright. It wasn't my favorite. Cat Island, I also gave 3 stars. This was about a family, this boy, his dad, and the dad's new wife go to this island that is very populated with cats on like a little holiday, and it's his experiences with the cats there. This one was a little bit more fantastical in nature, and it was very interesting, but again, not my favorite. The Night Visitor, which is by far the shortest story in here, it's probably like 5 pages long. I gave that one 1 star, and I feel really mean saying that because when I first read it, I was like, oh, that's probably a 2. But the more I think about it, the less I like it. It's so strange. It's told in these little vignettes in the middle of the night of this woman whose cat keeps waking her up for food. Essentially. It just felt very pointless. It didn't have the same level of connection that I felt with the other stories. We didn't actually get the cat's perspective in that one. And it just felt very out of place, very random. It didn't have a point. It didn't really have a plot. I'm not sure what I was supposed to get from that one. The final 2 stories actually relate to another work from this author called The Traveling Cat. I didn't know that when I read them, but now that I've read them and then looked up what the traveling cat is, yes, it's the same cat / same human. So there's 2 cats for these 2 stories, but it's the same human. So the first story, Finding Hachi, I gave 5 out of 5 stars. This is such a cute story. Oh my god, it's also so very heartbreaking. We follow this kitten, Hachi, who's taken in by this young boy and his family, and then this cat kind of decides its role in this family is to watch over this young boy and take care of him as he's growing up. And wow, it's the saddest thing. Like, oh, this poor cat. I cried. And then the second one is Life Is Not Always Kind, which I gave 4 stars. This is about a man who's trying to rehome his cat as he can no longer care for it. It's not really going according to plan. It's such a sweet story. Again, 4 out of 5 stars for that one. So overwhelmingly, I liked these stories. We've got 2 4 stars, 2 5 stars, 2 3 stars, and then a random 1 star. So overall, I gave this book 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think anybody who has any sort of liking of cats is going to really enjoy this. It's such a sweet, heartwarming, heartbreaking collection of narratives, and I think this author, Hiro Arikawa, must secretly be able to talk to cats to have been able to get so in their heads. I feel like this author has some deep insight into the way cats feel and think and communicate and understand the world, and it was just so well done. And this is coming from someone who never likes short story collections. This was just so well done. I really didn't know what to expect when I was going into it. Didn't even know it was short stories, but I'm thoroughly impressed with this, and I really want to read The Traveling Cat now. That's this book. The other book is like way over there, and I can't get it from here, but I am gonna go into She and Her Cat now. I believe that one is also short stories. I can't believe I didn't know this about either of them before, but I'm pretty sure that She and Her Cat is also short stories. I'm intrigued to give that one a go and see how it is, especially after loving The Goodbye Cat so much. I just really love cats. This book is making me very sentimental about my cat, so yeah, he's getting a lot of treats out of this whole ordeal, so I would love to like have him here and like hold him up for you, but he doesn't come in this room. He doesn't usually come upstairs. But he's my baby and I love him. But anyway, sidetrack. I'm gonna read She and Her Cat, and then I will come back and let you know how I feel about that one. So my background's different. Ignore the fact that behind me looks very, very different right now. I have a giant book unhaul coming to you guys next week, which will explain the missing shelf behind me. That's not what this video is about. I finished She and Her Cat. I really liked this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars again, but I do feel differently to this compared to The Goodbye Cat. There's 4 stories here, and each and every one of them I gave 4 out of 5 stars. All 4 stories were 4-star stories, which is kind of wild. I really enjoyed this. Unlike The Goodbye Cat, where I had some really high rated ones and then a couple really low rated ones, this was consistent the whole way through. It almost felt more like one big narrative because all 4 stories were connected. I'm not going to go too much into what the stories are about. I think the synopsis already did that anyway. The characters in each story are in each story. Like, we're not consistently following one cat and its owner. We follow a cat and its owner, and then a cat that cat knows and its owner, and then a cat that cat knows and its owner, but like all of the cats know each other. And it's just so sweet. This one was a lot more heartwarming and joyful of a reading experience. Some sad things did still happen. It wasn't as devastating as The Goodbye Cat was at times. This was definitely more of a inspiring, hopeful, this is how cats are so good for us kind of story situation. I really enjoyed it. I loved the writing in here. It was really quick and easy to read, and again the personification of cats was done really well here. I actually feel like that was very similar to The Goodbye Cat. I feel like the authors here had a very similar way of explaining how cats think and react to situations, and I just really enjoyed this. I'm so glad that I read it. It's such a sweet little book. I didn't really have much to say just then, did I? I mean, I don't really know how much I can say about a book this short. This is even shorter than The Goodbye Cat. This one's only like 180 something pages long. No, not even that long. It's 154 pages long. Very short, but it is such a sweet collection of stories. I would highly, highly recommend this to people who like cats to any degree. So now that I've read both of these, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I gained from this experience and what I'm going to take from it going forward. So The Goodbye Cat and She and Her Cat are 2 short story collections from Japanese authors about cats and the people they interact with that have been translated into English. I still find it very strange that this is a common enough theme, that they look so similar, that they do feel pretty similar in writing style. I really enjoyed both of these. They were both 4-star short story collections for me, which I normally don't like short stories, so congratulations on both being fantastic little books here. I don't read a ton of translated fiction. It is something that I'm definitely lacking in my day-to-day reading. It is one of those genres that gets kind of a reputation for being, you know, highbrow, high culture, smart people read translated fiction. It makes it scary for people. That's not the case. Not every single thing that's written in another language has to be the most complicated literary masterpiece known to mankind in order to be translated into English. That would be ridiculous. These, I do think they're literary fiction, but they have an accessibility. Not just because they're about cats, but that is a factor actually. But the writing style of both of these is so easy to read. It's so entertaining, and like, cats are sarcastic. Did you know that? Cats are very sarcastic. I thoroughly enjoyed both of these. I can understand why these are bestsellers and got translated into English, and I would highly encourage people to pick these up. They're such fun, cute, sweet, sometimes sad little short story collections. They don't take long to get through, and I do think it is important that we read translated fiction. That exposes you to more narrative styles, more story structures, and more perspectives. And I know I'm saying that talking about books that are about cats and from the perspective of cats. I don't really, am I making a point? I have had a great time reading these. It was such a random little concept that I came up with purely because I bought those 2 books and thought they were eerily similar and thought, let's just read them in a vlog. It's also made me feel a little bit more open to reading more short story collections and anthologies and stuff because, again, I've always hated short stories, but both of these were high ratings. Maybe I do like short stories and I just need to make sure I'm picking up the right ones. I don't know. So going forward, I'm gonna read more translated fiction, more animal fiction, and more short stories. But yeah, that's kind of it for this video. It's not the most conceptually intense vlog I've ever made. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. It really does help out the channel, and subscribe to see more of my content I post every week. And as I said, I have a massive unhaul coming next week. I have to film it after this. It's actually insane. I'm getting rid of like half of my books and a whole bookcase. So if you want to see that, please stick around and check in again next week. I hope I see you all then. And until next time, bye.